Learning. It's a word that evokes a mix of emotions, from the thrill of discovery to the frustration of late-night cramming. But what does it truly mean to learn? It's not simply about absorbing information like a sponge. Real learning, the kind that sticks with us, requires active engagement and a deeper understanding of how our brains process and retain information. For years, many of us have been taught with methods that emphasize passive learning, rereading textbooks, highlighting passages, and rote memorization. While these techniques might provide a superficial familiarity with the material, they often fail to translate into true understanding or long-term retention. The problem is that our brains aren't wired for passive absorption. We learn best when we actively engage with information, retrieving it from our memory and making connections between different concepts. This active approach, grounded in the science of learning, is key to unlocking our full learning potential. Two powerful techniques that leverage active learning are active recall and spaced repetition. Active recall involves actively retrieving information from memory without simply rereading it. This can be achieved through various methods such as flashcards, practice quizzes, or summarizing concepts from memory. The act of retrieving information strengthens the neural pathways associated with that information, making it more likely to be recalled in the future. Spaced repetition, on the other hand, involves revisiting material at increasing intervals. Instead of cramming information in one sitting, spacing out your study sessions over days, weeks, or even months allows for more effective consolidation of information in long-term memory. The effectiveness of these techniques is not just theoretical. A 2006 study on surgical residents demonstrated the power of spaced retrieval in a real-world setting. Residents were trained on a surgical procedure and then divided into two groups. One group received traditional training, while the other used spaced retrieval practice. The results were striking. The residents who practiced spaced retrieval significantly outperformed their counterparts on a skills test 6 months later. This study highlights the tangible benefits of active learning techniques, especially in fields like medicine where skill retention is paramount. Section 4. Ditch the highlighter. Why passive learning fails. While techniques like active recall and spaced repetition promote lasting learning, passive methods like rereading and highlighting often give us a false sense of mastery. When we reread a text, our brain recognizes the information as familiar, leading us to believe we've learned it. However, this familiarity doesn't necessarily translate into understanding or the ability to recall the information later. Highlighting suffers from a similar pitfall. We convince ourselves that by highlighting key points, we're